Okay, this is the flagship USA 1, which is it's a Delta plane. As you can see, it's just a Delta with a V tail on it, and it just uses 2 9-gram servos and your basic any kind of blue under or drone motor. Puts out somewhere around maybe 100 watts. This motor does maybe 80-90 watts, but any kind of drone motor that uses about a 7-inch prop, use a good high pitch prop, 7.6, something of that nature, to get the best performance out of it. 9-gram servos. Hextronic's a good servo. Hobby King's got white servos that are great, 9-gram. I bought them hundreds at a time. So when they strip out, so they're going to strip out. If you crash them, tear them all to pieces, they're going to strip. We'll put that aside a moment, but this is what we're building right here. As you can see, I didn't put anything on the bottom, but I did put graphics on the bottom of the tail, and those are included in the file. So you can print the bottom ones out as well. So when we do want to recover this bottom though, I'll show you, I'll have a video on how to delaminate the artboards. It takes about 30 seconds to delaminate each side, peel the paper off of it, using that same awesome orange chemical. For some reason or other, it removes that paper very easily, and there'll be a video specifically for that. Okay, I'll get this out of the way. We're going to do a template. We're going to glue up this pack right here. Here's the this is that's the bottom of that tail. This is the entire template other than the bottom. So what I start out with, some printers do it a little different. This was printed on different printers, and when it came out, this is what you start, as the upper left hand corner on one printer, and when they stack up on another printer, on the Epson, it comes out, and this is the lower right hand corner, number 1. So just be aware of which order you're going to start in. As you can see, they have cut lines on them. I don't know if you might be able to see that. I'll hold it up for the upper one. You can see those cut lines. These are the little cut guides I'm describing. And there's some writing at the top of it. Okay, on the tabs. Now we're going to cut off one side. This is important. Only one side and the bottom. We're going to leave the top and the left side. That's a little standard I started out with, and it never failed. It worked perfectly. Now you can use, you can do it manually, which is really the best way. If you're just building 1 or 2 planes at a time, just do it manually. You don't need anything fancy. If you're doing a bunch of them, this is a nice little cutter. I've had this thing for ever since I can remember. It's been a long time. And you can buy replacement blades for it, and the little pad that goes in there that blade rides on. So you can keep it in repair and use it. But there is one little problem with using this way. Sometimes when you cut it, you'll leave a little bit of, it won't be right where you need to cut it because of the way the paper stacks up. It might be a little off, when you're trying to keep them straight like that, as straight as you can. It might be just a little off, and that blade will cut it just a little, and even sometimes the way the printer prints it might be just a little off. So just to hurry it up, I'll cut them. I'll show you how I cut them, and then I'm going to show you the corrections I have to make sometimes in order, because they don't cut just exactly right. Okay, now if you got a big knife cutter like some printers do, some people's got those around the house, that's the best kind. You can stack those things up very neatly and cut them, and it's pretty precise. It's very good. Pardon if you don't see my head. I can't sit down and stand and talk, you know, do everything like that. While I'm doing work, I've got to have it here in it, and I got to have, I got to be over the top of the work, so just kind of pardon that. I don't have another person here filming. They're locked down on tripods. Okay, I'm going to make this cut, and so you can kind of see how this is done if you're going to use one of these. Again, manual's better. I try to cut it as close as possible to that cut line, and I want to cut the cut line off, but just barely off. There's a reason for that. Okay, that makes for a lot of cuts very easy and very quickly. Okay, now I'm going to stack these again. Try to keep this thing, as I can see, it's not stacking really good. Sometimes you can get lucky. That's if you're cutting them in a machine like this. If you're cutting them manually, you don't have to go through all that. And to do it in the machine, to keep everything stacked up, you need something like that to keep them straight. And you want to keep this side straight as well. And that can be a challenge sometimes, but it can be done. Okay. By the way, I'm a blues picker, guitar picker, so you'll hear a lot of blues in the background. It's just something I like to have going all the time. Okay, as you can see, I'm cutting that, trying to cut that little cut mark off. Like that. Now, if everything worked out, that's all I need to do when it comes to cutting. It rarely does. Okay, now maybe I can sit down just a little bit so you can see me. You may or may not hear me talking much because sometimes I'm going to have voiceovers. So just kind of get used to that. We'll have a voiceover. Now, what this does when I cut this is I can start here, there, that was row number 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's row number 2. Okay, as you can see, that's the template. So, let's restack them. I'm going to go back like this, right backwards the way I laid them out, so they don't get out of order. Alright. Now, there's a reason why we cut one side and the bottom. Because we're going to glue this together. See that cut line? And sometimes you might not have a cut line, but the image is the boss. It's going to be the whole point of getting these put together is the image. So it takes precedent over anything. So if we have a cut line, let's just stay with that. But down here we want to kind of keep the image exactly right. So that kind of gives you an idea. You can see we don't want any white peekaboos. I did cut this one right. So there's no white peekaboos there. So I can glue that without having a peekaboo. I do use the small one when I'm gluing up these edges like that. We'll use the big one and then applying it to the foam. This goes on purple. As you can see, I get it all over the board too. I've got a piece of Coroplast board there that keeps it from getting on anything underneath. But if you do mess up Mama's table, that's fine. Now, see, now I got that in there, and I got maybe just a little peekaboo there. I can kind of take that away by just kind of pull it up. Now you can pull it up to about a minute and a half, 2 minutes, and get it up and relay it back. No problem. But after about 2 minutes, you're going to tear the paper. It's that fast. It will glue fast. So that's the first one. I just brought this one in off the top of the stack, and we're going to put it on there too, just right here. See this right here is the border, and we cut that off. See, it's important also to look, see if there's anything white on the end of it, and you can see that cut that time it worked. Maybe I get lucky and all my cuts would be right on it. Kind of rare if that happened. But anyway, all I'm doing is trying to get everything matched up as good as I can get it. And I use these cards as a squeegee. Once I get it down, squeegee on it and pick it up with this one being underneath, so it lifts it off the table. If you pick this one up, it might lift it off of this other piece that you just glued to. As you can see, it turns it just a little bit there, but this other one's already disappeared. I mean, just dried. And there's little tricks for if you get it on the table and you want to get it off, that same awesome orange will turn it purple again, so you can see that it's, let me just show you. Let me just show you. Let's say you got it on Mama's table, but you can't see it. Take that awesome orange, spray it on there. Look at that. There you go. Now you know where the glue's at. Just take any old rag. That awesome orange cuts that glue perfectly. Just make sure the awesome orange doesn't eat at the tabletop. I don't think it will. But always check it first. I just said that as a disclaimer. Okay, here we go. Now, we're going to glue this other one on, right here. Then our first row will be done. I spent more time talking about it than it takes to do it. Okay. That's what I mean. You can glue these things together, put it on the board, cut it out, build the airplane, and have it ready and transfer the equipment and go flying just a couple hours later. Once you get used to it, you'll be a lot quicker than I am. Okay, there you go. That's row number one. I'm just going to lay it up here, get it out of the way. Here's our row number two. That's up the right hand corner. Now, I'm going to look to see if any peekaboos. Nope. Looks like I might just be lucky. I wouldn't bet on it that we'll not see them, because I know better. I'm pretty certain that I'll get to show you how I cut off peekaboos when I cut it wrong. Okay. These things, by the way, don't have to be perfect. Just reasonable. They're going to fly no matter what. And you're going to tear them all to pieces, and you're going to be building another one. You're going to have a lot of fun. So, don't get real picky about it. Just have fun at it. You can use the template, cut out your airframe, and do your own taping and decorating if you want to. There's a peekaboo that I need to lay down a little different. Okay, there we go. Ah, told you. I told you. Look at that. See that little peekaboo right there? There's a little white left on that past the ink. Now, just as I promised you, we're going to take, always use me a fresh blade. That blade built an airplane. So, I'm going to put fresh blade in there, or just the other end of it. And we're going to cut this little peekaboo off. And get rid of that little bit of white. Don't take much, just a little bit. Now, we don't have a peekaboo. We glue that one down. That's all you have to be careful about. Make sure just make sure that there's not too much of those peekaboo, because they don't look so pretty. There again, it don't really matter if they're that pretty. They're meant to fly. Have fun with them. And if you need to learn to fly, that's the best way. Cheap as possible. There's row number 2. I spent more time talking about it than it took me to build it, or to lay those out. Now, got 2 rows. We've got the rows done. We're going to take the rows and join them. Sometimes you might have 3 rows vertical. It just depends on how your printer is. How you choose to print it. It's easy to print, but sometimes they're a little different printers, even from model to model. Okay, I take them, just do like 1 at a time, sometimes 2 at a time. Whatever strikes me as I need to, way I need to do it. It's okay if you get purple on it. Don't worry about it, man. It'll disappear. That's about the smartest glue I have ever used, or smartest product I have ever used when it comes to putting these foam planes together. If you get a little pucker somewhere, that's fine. Just take the squeegee and hit it, and it'll flatten that pucker out. It'll crease it just a little bit. That's fine. Again, we're not talking perfection here. We're just talking about getting this thing in the air, having fun with it. Okay. If you got a ragged edge like I just did on this one, you can easily trim all that up. And I've got a little pucker here, so I'm just creasing it. You can't see that crease. It just disappeared because it flattens it so well that with those credit cards that you won't see the crease. Here we go. There's another crease. And it don't matter if it's not perfect. Again, we ain't gonna try to be perfect with it. That takes all the fun out of it. Unless you're a builder, that's fine too. I've built planes since the late 60s. So I've built a lot of airplanes. But I've never had more fun than with these. These are just a blast. Give you an example. I'll bring one in to the picture here. Just let you know what's coming in the future. I've got hundreds of designs, and each airframe will be all kinds of different graphics to make it look completely different. Same airframe. Okay, so you got a lot coming. All right. Now, we make a note here. This does take, I mean, you can continue cutting it out, putting it on the board, everything. You can continue building it and put this thing together right straight through, never pause at all. But this glue, when it's glued down like that, is still a little moist for about an hour or two. And if you're cutting with the blade the slightest bit old, it's not really fresh, it can grab the paper and tear it. Makes it a little ugly. So again, if you tear it, that's no problem. Yeah. It gives the airplanes a little bit of personality. But now you can wait just a little bit and let the glue dry up just a little, and go to the next step a little later, take a little break or whatever. When you're applying it to the foam is when it's most important, because you got a lot of glue there, and that's when you need to let it. It would be better to let it dry for maybe an hour and do it. But if you're in a hurry and you want to build one and get it in there in a couple hours, more power to you. Go for it. Don't worry about it. Okay, let me get this one out of the way so we ain't confused with it. Alrighty, we're going to take a pause. Since we've got one of these put together now, we're going to take a pause, and I'll come back and I'm going to show you how to peel the board, peel the paper off the foam board, how that's done, and then we're going to glue this onto the foam board, and we're going to have our template graphics. Be ready to cut this thing out quite quick.